What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 503rd Legion. Today we have another Emperor Palpatine Galactic Ruler deck profile for you today. And today we are on Palpatine Command. So we're on double green. Pretty interesting deck. Very different playstyle than what I usually play, which is Palpatine Vigilance. So yeah, let's get right into this deck profile. We are still on the 3 copies of Salacious Crumb. This card, as time has gone on, has really just become a staple in Palpatine, I think. So this card, very effective, heals 1 when played, combos with another card that we're playing, and deals that damage to make Palpatine live to steal cards, which, especially in double green or double command, is exceptionally strong. You really just want Palpatine to take their best thing in the late game, or you want to threaten Palpatine during most of the game with Salacious Crumb, so strong card. Couples with our boy Colonel Yularen. Very strong card. These two together make a nice kind of healing loop. So if you have Yularen on board, he heals himself when he enters, then you play Crumb, heals another 2. So it's between these 2 cards, you can keep cycling because Crumb returns to hand, and just heal 2 constantly, and then when you first start the combo, you heal 3. So I really like these 2 together. The only unfortunate part is that this cannot be grabbed off of Darth Vader commanding the First Legion, which is a bummer, but if it had the villainy aspect, that might be a little too good. I hesitate to say that because Palpatine's not the strongest strategy, right? But if this was in villainy, these 2 together would be awesome with Darth Vader. That'd be sweet. Other targets for Darth Vader and Crumb package, just to maximize our value: Incinerator Trooper. Also, when you're on double command, this card actually becomes kind of a staple because you need just bodies. And having a unit with basically first strike, as I would call it, is very, very good. So Incinerator Trooper, especially if you buff it with cards, can be very, very strong and actually kind of a threatening board presence. So Incinerator Trooper, good card. I like it. Obviously, since we're in Villainy Commands, we're playing Super Laser Technician. That's just a staple in any command villainy deck. I mean, this card is ramp. Ramp is good. Because we're on command villainy, we are back on the Emperor's Royal Guard. This card is much better when you are in Palpatine and you're also playing Colonel Yularen because he's an official. So this card has more targets to be live with Sentinel, and it's also a 3/5 for 3. So good stats, and it's live a lot more of the time in specifically Palpatine double command because you're playing more officials. So really good card. This deck is primarily centralized around units with Sentinel. So on this version, we're on 3 Phase 3 Dark Trooper. This deck's a little heavy on the 3 slot, which I know in Palpatine Vigilance I said is an important time for Palpatine because you either want to be ramping or you want to be advancing the board state or removing something. Since this deck doesn't have natural removal, quote unquote, you really just need to rely on Sentinel units. So sometimes you have to delay ramping to put Sentinel units on the board and stall those aggro decks from killing you. And then with the Yularen and Salacious Crumb loop, you can usually recover some life pretty well, so it ends up working out. I would say the weakness of this deck is not having that natural removal because you're not in Vigilance, so outing big units can be hard sometimes, but that's why you have to hang on to your Palpatine to steal the big units. We are on 3 Maul Shadow Collective Visionary. Ambush Overwhelm. The Underworld trigger doesn't really come up to put the damage on something else. But Maul in this version becomes very, very good because you just need big bodies. You're ramping so fast because you're on more ramp spells because you're double command. So you just need more big guys to damage stuff and remove stuff because you're not on removal spells, right? So Maul Shadow Collective Visionary is at 3 copies in this list because it doubles as a removal spell and as a big body. So it trades favorably for a lot of leaders and other super strong units. So yeah, good card. Obviously the best card in our deck still is Darth Vader commanding the First Legion. I love this card. I actually kind of just gravitate towards these command villainy decks because of this card in particular. I just love playing with it. It gets you so much value. It ambushes and usually removes something. It's 5/7, got a big booty, decent attack. I love this card so much. So pretty much most decks that can play it, I'm going to play those decks. So love that card. We are on 3 copies of Reinforcement Walker. You just need more healing, and also it's a big body. We're also on Title Me Intervention still, so it makes that double trigger very, very good. 2 copies of Relentless. This card is a jerk. Because we're not in Vigilance, we can't play Avenger. Well, we can, but we'd have to pay too much for it, so we're on Relentless. Relentless is also still a jerk, but I would argue that this card's way more annoying than Avenger. Avenger can kind of like seal games and lock out games, but this card kind of just stops your opponents from playing for a while, and then you kill them later on. So this card can be a problem. It's really, really good, obviously. But yeah, it's just kind of annoying. 2 copies of Devastator. Oh, also this card is like the best card against Vigilance decks because you got to shut down the removal from killing all your stuff. 2 copies of Devastator. I don't really need to explain this one. Sentinel Overwhelm in space, a 10/10 for 10. When played, you basically get to kill anything. So probably one of the best, if not the best, Star Destroyer, basically because of the Sentinel and the Overwhelm keywords. With Timely Intervention, this becomes really disgusting. Now onto the events. We are on 3 copies of Palpatine's Return. I explained this in my Palpatine Vigilance deck profile video, but this card really just presents you with a lot more options on what you can resource and what you can get back later from the graveyard, as well as like Spark of Rebellion isn't that big of a deal because you can just bring it back. So this also discounts your Mauls and your Vaders basically by 1 because you get to play them for 6 out of the graveyard instead of playing them for 7 naturally from your hand, which can come a lot, especially when you're trying to like put your opponent in a pinch position by putting them in lethal range. So just having that resource discount or mana discount can be really, really effective. So Palpatine's Return, one of my favorite cards in Green Villainy. 3 copies of Overwhelming Barrage. We're on Double Command, so we're not on a lot of natural removal. So Overwhelming Barrage is like the best card in our deck. And we're also on more just like units, right? So this card becomes live a lot more often. You'll notice in my Vigilance deck profile, I'm only playing 1 of this. Because we're not in those colors that have a lot of natural removal, we need to play as much as like strong removal as we can, which is where Overwhelming Barrage comes in. This is like your primary way to remove pesky space targets. So yeah, this card is really, really good. All right, the reason to play Double Command Palpatine. Command, this card's insane. It's ramp, it boosts your guys like Incinerator Trooper, which is really strong. It gets units back from your graveyard, so you can play them from your hand. A friendly unit it becomes another quote-unquote removal spell because it deals damage equal to a unit's power to an enemy unit. Yeah, Command's insane. This is like the reason to play double green Palpatine because this card is so strong, and it just offers you like this deck is actually kind of fun to play because you just get to ramp so fast and so hard that you can get those big units out quick. Still not enough to beat like decks like Sabine because those decks are broken, but you know, you get the idea. 3 copies of Resupply, just more ramp. Don't really got to explain Resupply. Good card. 3 copies of I'm Your Father. Again, we're light on removal because we're in Double Command, so we just need to play as much removal as we can just naturally in the deck. So I'm Your Father, most of the time you're just me dealing 7 damage to something, but sometimes you get to draw 3 cards if it's a really important unit, so that's sweet. This card's really fun to play and fun to use, so it's another reason why I kind of like am enjoying this deck a little bit. I don't like it as much as Palpatine Vigilance, but I do enjoy this deck. I was playing it against Chancellor the other day, and it's pretty fun. I like being able to play a lot more units. It's a lot more unit heavy, so probably the best card in our deck, Timely Intervention. Turns all your creatures into pseudo-removal spells, and has Smuggle keyword, which is always just amazing. So Timely Intervention, giving stuff ambush, makes your Reinforcement Walker exceptionally good, makes your Star Destroyers even better. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about Timely Intervention. Pulling this card out of your smuggle, out of your resource zones for smuggle can just like, your opponent just kind of gets this look on their face like, oh my god, here we go again. So yeah, Timely Intervention, exceptionally strong. Love it. And last cards in the deck, we're on 51. 2 copies of Traitorous. I like this card, but I don't like this card because you can only take control of stuff that has cost 3 or less. It becomes a little less valuable because you're basically overpaying for cards that you wouldn't really want to play. It's just, this deck is so removal light. You just need more pseudo removal because you gotta slow down those aggro decks as much as you can. But like, I'm not crazy on this card. It's good, but it just doesn't advance like the Palpatine game plan as much as you would think. But it is nice to be able to capture something, sacrifice it with Palpatine, deal a damage and draw a card. That's cool. So again, this card is good, but I'm just not crazy on it. yeah, so that is my Palpatine Command deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. I don't have a side deck built for this deck right now because I'm just in like light stage testing for it. And I'm also not going to be going too crazy on these Season 0 decks because Twilight of the Republic comes out this week, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, again, hope you enjoyed the deck profile. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We're trying to grow this channel and, get our names out there. So please check out our other content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.